Well, SVG wins another pole, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Let's break down practice and qualifying from Sonoma next on Racin-n-Braisin. Well, hi folks, welcome back to Racin-n-Braisin. I am CJ, a lifelong NASCAR fan and chef, bringing you plenty of news and analysis from each race weekend, as well as a couple of tips and tricks from my kitchen to yours. Today, we're going to talk about what we saw for Saturday's action in Sonoma, Cup practice and qualifying, as well as the Xfinity race that has just wrapped up. Connor Zilisch held off SVG in that Xfinity race. The two of them led the majority of the race, and once again, broadcast partners show us nothing but the leaders for an entire race. Very hard pressed to find action throughout the rest of the field because CW just wasn't showing it. Boy, hasn't anybody learned anything from Prime? I know we got spoiled from that, but boy, that's all that they showed us today was the SVG and Connor Zilisch show. Yes, it was a good battle at the end, but did we need to see them run away with a 9, 10, 11-second lead throughout each stage? No, we didn't really need to see that entire thing. We could have watched some of the other action going on, but I digress. So we'll leave Xfinity in the rearview mirror and instead talk about what we saw with Cup action today. It kicked off earlier with practice and qualifying. We'll kind of do it in reverse here and talk about qualifying first. As we know, SVG has grabbed the pole. I don't know if you guys were watching or not, but he had the pole and then went out there and put on another run and bested that run by almost a half a second. The man is just on fire, and even then complaining about the rear grip in his car the entire time. So if they can get him comfortable in that car tomorrow, he's going to absolutely dominate this race. So we'll just go ahead and get that pick out of the way. I think SVG, barring something crazy, I think SVG has tomorrow's race in the bag, but I can't pick SVG in our regular season competition tomorrow, so I got to think outside the box and think about who is going to get me good points tomorrow. So as we look at the top 12 in qualifying here, we can see, I think, a surprise that Chase Briscoe on the outside of the front row. He didn't necessarily have a good practice and was kind of quiet throughout their session. William Byron, not surprised to see him up there. They had a really good practice session, and we'll talk about them on the lap average list there. Looking further throughout at least the top 12 here, much of the drivers here I think are expected on road courses to be up front, so no surprise to see the likes of Ross Chastain up there, AJ Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, of course, Kyle Larson. I am surprised to see Ryan Blaney have such a good qualifying effort. They even had a good practice session. Maybe something is turning around for the 12 crew on road courses. He doesn't have the best of luck on road courses and admits that he's not a good road course racer, but I think we've seen over the past couple this year that they've done generally better. They did better in Chicago for sure. Who you do not see here in the top 12 that I think is surprising. Chase Elliott, 13th. Chris Buescher, 14th. Michael McDowell, 15th. Austin Cindric, who had a really good practice session, starting all the way down in 24th. So very surprising not to see that two crew have a good qualifying session, but keep them in mind for tomorrow's race. With good strategy, they should be able to work their way forward. And if that two crew gets up there, his practice session suggests that they would be contenders for tomorrow's race. Drivers that I was looking at, SVG, Larson, Elliott, Chastain, Buescher, McDowell were all on my list. Even Ty Gibbs. The majority of those drivers performed pretty well. Like I noted there, Chase Elliott not having the best qualifying session, but he wasn't too far off. I was surprised, though, that the practice session for Chase Elliott wasn't that great. So let's get into practice. The word of the day for practice today was slick. This is the second year on the new pavement for Sonoma, and it has aged dramatically in that year since they went there. All of the drivers complaining about uncomfortable cars, really slick throughout the entirety of the course. There's a sealant that's been put on the track that has made it extra slick, and there's just a lot less grip going on. And we saw quite a bit of action throughout the practice sessions, more so in Group A than Group B. In Group A, all 3 Spire cars were in that group, and all 3 cars had off-track excursions. Turn 2 was particularly treacherous for all drivers during the practice session. We saw Michael McDowell, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski, Justin Haley all get off in Turn 2 during practice. So should be a trouble spot for tomorrow's race. We'll definitely keep an eye out on that. And I also want to note that the lap times were 3 seconds slower than last year on average. So the slick track definitely making a big impact. And I think we are actually going to see tires play a difference, even with a fairly fresh track surface. So should be interesting. Remember, last year's race was marred with a bunch of cautions early and then turned into a tire strategy race for Kyle Larson, the eventual winner. They ran long on a set of tires so that they could have fresher tires at the end, and that's what got them the win. So could be a strategy that we'll see employed. Looking at the 5-lap averages here, not all that surprising. We definitely see the likes of SVG, Allmendinger up there. Like I said, William Byron had a really good practice session. I'm definitely going to have him on my list for tomorrow. Those not listed there that I thought were surprising, at least in the 5-lap averages, Chase Elliott, Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez. Suarez, in the beginning of the Group A practice, clicked off a really fast lap and actually jumped right to the top of the board, but the laps afterwards were significantly slower. So he had a good single run speed, but nothing beyond that. So maybe take him off of the list for tomorrow. Who I do have on my list that I'm going to be looking at from Chevy, William Byron, AJ Allmendinger as well. For Ford, Ryan Blaney. Like I said, pretty impressive that they put together a good practice session and qualifying. I am also going to keep an eye on Austin Cindric. He's going to kind of float there on my list as well. And then finally, just kind of have a Toyota for me to think about. Ty Gibbs or Tyler Reddick looked really good in practice. So those are the drivers that I'm going to have for my pick list for tomorrow's race. I definitely think SVG is going to run away with this race tomorrow. As long as they can keep things clean and maintain track position, I don't think there's going to be any issue for that 88 team to repeat once again. Yeah, so that's what we'll be looking for. Tomorrow's race coverage will begin at 3 o'clock on TNT. 350 miles, which is 110 laps. Stage 1 will end at lap 25. Stage 2 ends at lap 55. And, of course, the conclusion at 110. So excited to see how things play out for tomorrow. Let me know who you think is going to take the win tomorrow and who you have for your race picks in the comments below. I will talk to you all tomorrow night after the race. Until then, stay happy.